Howdy guys, Radio Magic here. I hope you are all having a fantastic morning, day, afternoon or evening, wherever you are and whatever you are up to. Today we are back with some more blue-white control on the channel. I know. We have played Azorius for the last two videos. The first one we were testing out some of the new cards that were released. Then we made it a little bit more competitive. Now we're going to make it a little bit more competitive and do the best we can and try and push blue-white. But for those of you that do not like Azorius, please feel free, stay tuned, maybe skip this video if you want, but there will be other lists coming up, some Jeskai, Grixis, two of my favourite, and just other control lists as well. Always throw your suggestions down to the comments because I love hearing what you guys want to see, because at the end of the day I make this content, one, for myself because it makes me happy, but at the same time I want you guys to be interested in what I'm doing at the same time, so let me know what you guys want to see. As always, we'll be playing 4 to 5 games back to back to test the list, see how it does. It could go catastrophically wrong. We could lose all 5 games. We could win all 5 games. Who knows? I don't know. I'm recording this before making the videos, so we'll see how we get on with that. As always, we're going to do the quickest deck tech that we possibly can. They normally go on for a little bit, and I do apologize for that. But if you guys have watched the previous Azorius videos, or maybe you see this list in front of you and you're like, I'm not interested, I know what these cards do, I know how control plays, I know the rationale for these cards, then please go down into the description and check out the timestamps for the games. There's no spoilers down there, but you can skip ahead and skip this deck tech if you would like to. So please go and do that if that does interest you. And I'm going to be trying something a little bit different at the end of this video. What I'm going to be doing in the wrap-up, because we normally do a wrap-up at the end of these videos for people who haven't stuck around, summarising how the list did and how it did in the matchups. I'm going to be showing the next control list that we're going to be playing at the end of the video, essentially for 2 reasons. One, to get you guys super excited over what we're going to play, and the other reason, so you guys can basically provide some suggestions as to what you would like to see in the list. Maybe you see a card in there and you go, no, Radio Magic, that looks very bad, change that, change this sideboard card, have you considered this matchup, maybe you should play something like this, or yeah, I like the list, I'm really excited to see it, all of them sort of bits, basically so we can get a little bit more interaction. Because I'm not streaming at the moment, we're just doing YouTube. It's really nice, we try and get as much interaction with you guys as possible, because I do really love reading your comments, and let's try and get some more going back and forward. And yeah, it's feedback that I get in the comments sometimes of different changes I could make, but it normally takes a week or 2 to make them changes, and sometimes the meta can change. So please do stick around to the end, or maybe skip ahead to the end if you're not interested in this video. Have a look at that list and go, change this, and yeah, maybe tune in to see the changes if you want to. Like I said though, we're going to go on to a quick deck tech now, and I'll sort of explain my rationale as to why I put some of the cards in there, and what we expect to face in this upcoming video, so the rationale for them. So the common decks that are popping up at the moment, I did a little bit of research before we jumped into this video just to see what we might be facing. So I went over to MTG Goldfish and just looked at the historic metagame and just have a look with sort of what's going on at the moment. And also I put some of my own experience together as to what I've seen, because I've been playing a bit of historic recently and playing different control lists. And the things I have seen popping up the most is Jund Sacrifice, Rakdos Sacrifice, Gruul Aggro, and some combination of control, be it Azorius or Grixis. Grixis is normally like a tap down sort of control, or just the mirror matchup Azorius. So what we have tried to do is tailor our control list to fight them the best we can, and I'll explain like how we have done that in well, exactly right now. So moving on, if you guys did see the previous video where we made it a little bit, I'll put a little I don't know what they're called, thing in the top right now, so you can go and check that out if you'd like to. We've made just a few subtle changes to the main board to try and tackle the current meta that's going on, and quite a few changes to the sideboard. So we've put in our Grafdigger's Cage. From the Zendikar Rising Championships, when Brad Barkley won, he was running Grafdigger's Cage in the main, and it worked really well in that current meta. We gave it a try, and yeah, it just worked excellently. I have found in the meta at the moment that Grafdigger's Cage feels like it needs to be back in. While Goblins is not as big as it used to be, it still pops up from time to time. The sacrifice lists still really do get hit hard by Grafdigger's Cage, especially in game 1. They can bring in their sideboard hate in the second game to tackle Grafdigger's Cage, but sometimes it just catches some decks off guard. We do have the problem of sometimes you draw your Grafdigger's Cage and it's just completely useless, but what are you going to do? I feel like it's a really good meta call at the moment, so we have made room for a Grafdigger's Cage. Exactly the same as the last list, we are running 3 Baffling Ends just for some really early interaction. It's very limited. If any of you guys have checked out the historic anthology that is coming soon, there is a new card coming that I'm sure you guys have seen, that I'll put up on the screen now, that's obviously just gonna completely replace Baffling End and hopefully just be a straight upgrade. But let me know what you guys think though. Is it just going to be a straight upgrade over Baffling End? We're definitely going to try and see how it gets on. We're running 4 Censors because Censor is a really good card. It counters things early, and when it becomes dead in the late game, we can cycle that away. Narsets are still here in the same number, so the 4-color Uro nonsense list is a reason that we run Narsets in such high number. We've changed some Narsets in the board. We're not running as many in the board this time, but I still think Narset's a really good card overall. Static ability still does hinder a lot of opponents, and the card advantage that Narset provides, I feel like, is just really, really good. We could run Searcher's Canter instead of Narset, but I feel like Narset can sometimes soak up damage in the same way how Dig for them answers, and you can't activate Searcher's Canter on turn 3. So that's why Narset's in the list. We're then running 4 Absorbs. We did try the Foretell counterspell as well, but I feel like Absorb is just a straight upgrade over that. I feel like you just want the free life is so much better than the ability to be able to cast a 2-mana counterspell. And we have no other passive life gain in the list, so we do really want to, if we fall to 1 or 2, maybe up against Gruul, we want a way to know that actually, no, we are not just dead to your Bone Crusher Giant. We do have a way to climb out of this hole we are currently in. We're then running 4 Doomskars. Doomskar is, oh my god, Doomskar is a new card that came out really recently. You guys must have seen this already. 3-mana counterspell. You cast it for Foretell on turn 2, and then turn 3, you can destroy all creatures. Yeah. Pretty simple, but 3-mana counterspell is just, oh wow, yeah. I went really high on this when we did our first video, and I'm still really high on this. When I was looking up other people's Azorius lists, I actually found Doomskar was not being run. Like, a lot of people are still running Wrath of God over Doomskar, and like, personally, I can't understand this. I understand that if you draw Doomskar on turn 4, then you'd rather have Wrath of God, but I just think the turn 3 board wipe is so essential, especially against Gruul, and with Gruul being such a predominant deck at the moment, you really do want this Doomskar. We're running the same number of Nikos because Nico is just fantastic. Like I said in the previous video, I was not high on them during spoiler season, but after playing with them quite a bit, yeah, I'm really high on this card. Absolutely love it. 4 Cast Outs because Cast Out is a excellent card that can be cycled when you don't need it, and in other times it can pretty much answer whatever your opponent's got going on. So really, really good card. 3 Teferi Hero of Dominarias because who would be without Teferi Hero of Dominaria? This is the Azorius. This is the reason we play Azorius. We play Jeskai for Chandra. We play Azorius for Teferi, and we're going to find room for 3 of these. We could go up to 4, but it just really doesn't feel necessary. Like, Teferi's providing like a bit of card advantage. Normally you get 1 or 2 upticks with it. Sometimes he comes down and just removes something and then dies straight away. I don't know. I cannot remember the last time I won with Teferi Emblem. Normally it gets answered before that. Very rarely do opponents scoop to Teferi anymore. It's not as powerful as when he was originally released. But we're still going to find room for them. So yeah, Teferi is in there. 4 Shark Typhoons because Shark Typhoon is an excellent 2-for-1 in a lot of situations. Sometimes you need to wait a few turns, maybe turn 5 or 6 before this can really get going and get you a 2-for-1. But in worst case scenario, 2-mana Cycler. Can't be too disappointed with that. And you could just cast it for 6 mana to have a 6-mana enchantment, and it closes the game really quickly. So yeah, I don't know what much more you want from a card, but Shark Typhoon is a good one. And then Starnhelm Unleashed. I keep pronouncing this Starnhelm Unleashed. I don't know why. But 4 mana, 4/4 Angel, Sarah Angel with Flying and Vigilance. But it also has Foretell, in which you can foretell it. And then you pay a white and double X. But each time you pay double X, you get to make a 4/4 Angel. So you can either for 4 mana make a 4/4, or if you foretell it for 3 mana, you can make a 4/4. 5 mana, you can make 2 4/4s. 7 mana, you can make 3 4/4s, and so on and so on. So Starnhelm Unleashed, I did it already, is a card I love. I absolutely love this card. I think it's fantastic. A lot of our win cons like Castle Ardenvale and Teferi, that's it. There are win cons. I guess Shark Typhoon counts as well, which is actually a pretty good one. Starnheim Unleashed is also an excellent win condition. I think this is... I was running this when we originally tested the list in the first Azorius video we did of the new set. I played 1, and then I went up to 2 in the next one, and I've dropped back down to 1, and that was basically to make room for just other cards that we wanted to play. We had to make room for the Grafdigger's Cage somehow. Essentially, this whole list is exactly the same as the video we played on the last time on the channel, but we had to make room for the Grafdigger's Cage, so I ended up cutting a Starnheim, and the reason for this is just we have enough win conditions, I feel, and we got to make room somewhere. And if you guys have a suggestion for another card we could cut, I was really tossing up between Starnheim and Baffling End, maybe drop into 2 copies, but I feel like we just don't want to die to early creatures, so it's probably better just to have the extra Baffling End when you need it. 27 lands, and if you guys don't believe me, there is a 27 lands. We are running obviously just 2 colors, so hopefully we always have mana problems when we play this. We play 5 games back to back, so there is a chance, and it's always best of 3, so there's a good chance we will have mana problems. But 27 lands, hopefully we won't. 3 Castle Arden Vales, 2 Castle Vantages, and 1 Field of Ruin for some utility. We're also running them Irrigated Farmlands and a few Temple of Enlightenments. There could be an argument to go up to like 4 temples maybe, and cut like an island in the plains and just see how that goes on, just for make sure you have all your colours and mana, and scrying in the late game is definitely really relevant. So where the main changes in this list has gone, I'm going to try and go over this as fast as I can, as I realise this is already taking ages, this deck tech, is in the sideboard. We've made quite a few changes actually. So originally in the list we played last time we had 2 Grafdigger's Cages. We've moved 1 of them over to the main now, so we've kept 1 in the sideboard, and we've changed up some other bits. The other thing we are using to tackle the sacrifice lists and other graveyard lists that are currently going around is something that I've not seen played too much. I see it pop up from time to time, but we're going to give it a shot. It could go absolutely wrong, could be a catastrophe, but hopefully it'll work out. Is Apostle of Purifying Light. For those of you that don't know, is 1 white and 1 for a 2/1 human cleric creature, non-legendary, protection from black, so no black card is killing this. 2 mana, 2 generic colorless mana to exile target card from a graveyard, either ours or theirs. So if we play against rogues, we could always exile our own cards. If we play against them sacrifice lists though, we can always exile cards out of their graveyard and stop them that cat combo, and stop other bits that our opponent might be trying to little stunts that they might be trying to pull. So it's either this or like Rest in Peace, but I thought we'll give it a shot and try this, because a lot of answers to Rest in Peace our opponent could have may not be able to answer the Apostle. I don't know, we're giving it a shot, we'll see how it goes. Let me know in the comments what you think of the Apostle, and hopefully we get a good representation of how it does. We've then gone up to 2 authorities. We were playing 1 in the list before, but we've gone up because Gruul is a pesky matchup. I think Authority is good against Gruul, but we've gone up to 2. I may even go up to 3 in a future video if we don't play against much Gruul today, just because I really want to know how this does. I feel like negating the keyword for haste is going to be really relevant, and just buffering our life total is quite good. It's okay against Goblin. It's okay against Goblins. I mean, it's really good against decks with haste. But it also just buffers your life total against like the red decks and gives you a little bit of a buffer. So if we fall to like 2-3 life, we have a way of coming back and getting a bit more life on our side. A bit more interaction with Baffling End. I don't believe in the last list we were running any interaction in the sideboard in the form of things like Baffling End and Seal Away. But this time we've gone up to the 4th copy in the sideboard to make sure we have some early game answers to what our opponent's doing. And we've done that in favour of the 4th Aether Gust, because Aether Gust, while good in a lot of matchups, not always the best card. Sometimes in Jund Sacrifice, actually a lot of times in Jund Sacrifice, a lot of their key threats are black, and Aether Gust just doesn't answer that, where Baffling End does. A lot of the time they're going to sacrifice that permanent before you get to do anything to it, but at least Baffling End can hit the permanent where Aether Gust can't. But Aether Gust still really good. And I think maybe where Uro's been banned now, Aether Gust might not be as strong, but we shall test that as the video goes on. We have also dropped to Tail's End because I had to find space somewhere, so we've gone down 1. Maybe this is something we just want more of, but now we shall see as the video sort of progresses. 3 Doman's Vetoes. This is mainly for the mirror matchup. We want our negate that is non-counterable. Yeah, Domin's Veto doesn't need much more rationale. With Uro being banned as well, I found a reason to cut one of our Narsets. Maybe we just want to cut this one as well, but I still think this is going to be really good against some matchups, especially the mirror matchup where in Control, you're going to want them Narsets just to provide raw 2-for-1s and 3-for-1s against your opponent, and the static ability is definitely relevant. It'll be interesting to see how much Behold the Multiverse is going around as well, because Narset's going to be really good at countering that. And we were running Wrath of God last time, but this time we're running Settle the Wreckage. Wrath of God might just be the correct choice, but I think Settle the Wreckage adds something that Doomscar doesn't, where Wrath of God is just another Doomscar that costs 1 less mana / 1 more mana, depending on which way you're looking at it. But Settle the Wreckage offers something that Doomscar doesn't. Being able to do this at instant speed is really relevant. Though, I think Wrath of God might just be better, because a lot of the time we're going to want this against Gruul, and Gruul obviously has a Gruul Spellbreaker, so Settle the Wreckage will not work against that, because it gives our opponent Hexproof. I realised that deck tech took quite a while, and we went over it as quickly as we could, but yeah, it does always take a little bit. But thank you guys. So guys, if you are still here and listening to the deck tech, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will catch you again at the end of the wrap up. Okay, so we are back in Historic with some best of 3 Azorius Control, probably my favourite colour combination at the moment. Got to give love to Jeskai, but Azorius just seems like it's in the right spot and feels really consistent. Anyway, we are against Yorion Sky Nomad. So what do we think of this hand? We've got all of our colours, 2 lands. Probably could do some more lands. We can cycle the Sensor early. Narset's going to be some good card advantage. Yeah, let's keep it. Hats off to our opponent for the awesome Rat Sleeves. Okay. So Yorion splashing green. Maybe for the 4-mana Saga. Hopefully we can catch our opponent off guard and get to censor something here. Maybe like a Narset. No, just an Oath. I think we are going to do this, and so if our opponent's on the Doom Foretold list, then we don't want to just give them more fodder. Did pick up the second one. I would have really liked an island at some point, another blue source, so we could have played Narset there. I assume our opponent's probably not running too many counter spells, especially in the main deck. Opponent is just going to put Yorion into the hand. I think we're just going to cycle Shark Typhoon for 1 here. Not the most impactful play, but got to try and hit them land drops. Running 27 lands, so we should hit it, but no, not going to. Do we cycle our Censor? Really do need to hit land drops. Yeah, paid off a little bit. Yeah, we're going to shock this in. Just represent another Censor. So these Baffling Ends are pretty good Doom Foretold fodder, but they do give our opponent a 3/3 Trampler. So we've got to watch out for that. Okay, opponent's just going to play Yorion. Just play a 4/5. All good. So we are going to miss our land drop, unfortunately, here. I think we just have to pass the turn with Absorber. Really unfortunate. 27 lands, and yeah, going to miss him. We did keep a 2-land hand, but we had a few cyclers. Yep, just take 4. Hostage Taker. So Hostage Taker is just going to take our Shark. Not too impactful. Our opponent could like blink it and take more things, but it really doesn't have that many great targets. The argument could be made just to absorb it, just to do something this turn. Gain a bit of life. Stop our opponent adding some more to the board. So, same position sort of again. I'm taking 6 this turn if we do nothing. But our other plays like Play to Fairy still kind of feels like doing nothing. Narset doesn't really accomplish anything. I mean, I guess Narset buys us like a bit of time. We could play Narset like not tick down since we have enough stuff happening at the moment. then it sort of buys us 6 life. And then next turn if we find... I guess next turn if we find a land, we can play Teferi, hold up, absorb, but then Teferi's still going to die. Could play Narset, tick down in the hope of finding Doomscar, which I think I like. I think we need a Doomscar here. And it will still save us at least 4 life. Okay, so no Doomscar. So just going to take the Sensor, hold open the Sensor, or just cycle it to try and hit a land drop. Yeah, not loving our position. I think missing lands and drawing 3 Baffling Ends, something that's completely dead in this matchup. We may as well just have a 4 card hand here. I mean, we haven't seen a Doom Foretold, but if our opponent is on Doom Foretold, then I guess this is good discard fodder. Yeah, so our opponent is playing Binding of the Old Gods. One of the reasons I think you play green. So I'm just going to destroy this Narset, I guess.
Such violence is upsetting.
Take a bit of damage. Really do need to find a Doomscar here. That is not a Doomscar. So yeah, probably just going to have to take 6. Can't even shock this landing, unfortunately. Could play Nico X1. I guess that wouldn't work out. Yeah, not loving our position here. I think we just have to play Teferi and hope this buys us a bit of time.
I'm not going to... We need to move quickly.
Okay, so we did hit a land, an untapped land, so that we don't have to shock in. So we get to hold up the absorb. So if our opponent goes for the try to cast something to take care of the Teferi, then we can at least stop it. And then force our opponent to spend 6 damage taking down the Teferi, which does buy us a little bit of time. If we find a Doomscar in the meantime, then maybe we can catch up. If our opponent's going to go for the other Yorion, maybe they're playing a Yorion, then they might want to attack us first. Yeah, I think we're not worried about that. Yeah, so they get to put a 6 drop into play. I don't know how many good 6 drops they're going to have. Okay, opponent's not worried about Teferi. Carnation. So yeah, we will counter this just to gain a little bit of life, and that is something they probably want to sack, like Binding of the Old Gods. So what's the play here? Creatures they control get Death Touch. We could just tuck the Yorion. It's going to leave it open to the Hostage Taker. Maybe we just draw. Could tuck Yorion, play another Teferi, tick up. Yeah. So I'll just put in some protection in play. And then we want to obviously tuck with the first one. And then just tick up. Hopefully we hit a counterspell here or another Doomscar. So, yeah, let's just get down the tap land. We still represent Absorb here. So our opponent can now put a 5 drop into play, so they might have another Yorion. Opponent does have another Yorion. So they get to blink Binding here, which is actually really relevant. So had we not have tucked the Yorion, they wouldn't have been able to make this play. So they're going to get to take out a Teferi in the end step. Definitely cycling the Sensor just for a Doomscar. So I guess our opponent's going to go for the Oath here. Guess we might have to just use the sensor to try and take down this oath. If opponent has a land, it is lethal. Yeah, pretty rough situation now. So our plan is to hit Absorb and Doomscar. And that's our way out. Okay, so opponent did technically have lethal on us. They could have shocked that in and cast the Oath, but I guess they're scared of the Absorb. So let's cycle here. Okay, so part 1 done. Doomscar just needs to hit an Absorb off the top. No Absorb. Maybe we like represent and our opponent thinks we have it. There's no point in playing out Nico. Opponent might just go for it here. I think if you're the opponent, you just go for it. Yeah. Good game. Yeah, maybe we could have saved ourselves 1 point of damage somewhere. Maybe not tucking the Yorion when we did was correct, since they couldn't have put the other Yorion into play. So, against Doom Foretold, how do we want to play this? Our opponent is playing green, so maybe Aethergust is okay, but it looks like they only have like a few targets for it. Baffling End seems pretty dead in this matchup. So does Grafdigger's Cage. Probably just Tail's End for the Yorion. Narset for some more card advantage. And Dovin's Vetoes. Can remove like these Doomscars. We can cut one. I mean, Doomscar was something we was digging for then, but doesn't feel like it's going to be too good. I think our opponent just got a few things in underneath us. And we missed a land drop or two, so it didn't work out too well. But let's see how we get on in the next game. So, we are on the play in game 2. And what do we think of this hand? So, again, we only have 2 lands on the play, so that is rather unfortunate. We do have 2 cycling cards, the Doomscar to catch us up. We actually have 3 cycling cards with Nico. It's just, if we don't hit land drops, it's just going to be so unfortunate, but running 27 lands, we should hit them. It's always the risk you take with keeping any hand, isn't it? Do we draw non-lands? Do we draw lands? I think because of how game 1 went, we're going to mulligan this and try and hit for some more. Fortunately, another 2-lander, but I don't think we can afford to mulligan this again. We're just going to put this Doomscar on the bottom. I think we're going to kind of be forced to cycle this Sensor as well. Yeah, it's just unfortunate. It's the way it goes sometimes. Obviously, had we... I think this hand's actually okay. Slightly better than the first hand. Just having more counter spells, but yeah, we do need to hit our land drops, and deck's probably not going to give it to us here. 2 draws to hit a land drop. Really do want to cycle this cast out this turn. Let's go. Common deck. There we go. Sweet. So, yeah. Just going to pass here. Could Narset maybe try and hit a cycling card, so we could on our next turn cycle to hit a land drop. Yeah, I'm not going to just keep sitting back and do nothing.
Mind and body should keep an open mind.
I mean, Nico's a way to draw us more cards to hit lands, but I think we've got enough card advantage going. It's just unfortunate, like, definitely happens. Opponent did mulligan down to 6 as well, I believe, so might be having some issues, but they have hit their 4th land. Opponent's going to Four.Vs. This is quite a Four.Vs proof hand. Opponent's going to take the only card we can't cast in our hand. Okay, take out the Narset. So we are up on cards at the moment. We just have to make sure we keep hitting our lands. And yeah, we're just going to, since we hit land, just pass the turn here. We just have such a wealth of counter spells. We don't really need to let our guard down. So this is a way for our opponent to potentially get around counter spells, and it's going to scry each turn. This is not normally something I'd want to counter, but I think since we have so many counter spells, it's okay. Yeah, we're just going to have to keep shipping it back here. If we hit a land there, we could have definitely Narsetted, Narset, hold up, either Tail's End or Veto. I'm just going to dress, just allow our opponent to have a look. Definitely the advantage of playing black. If we were in Grixis, Grixis has the edge, I think, against Azorius most of the time just because of these hand hate spells. I think our opponent's playing Four.Vs and Duress. I'd imagine Duress was in the board. No Agonizing Remorse. Wow, this is unfortunate. Let's cycle. Okay, at least we hit land there. So, starting next turn, we can play our Narset holding up a counterspell. I'm just going to put Yorion onto the hand. Yeah, so we'll play Narset here. Just go digging. Guess we grab a Teferi just for some more card advantage. I'd imagine our opponent's going to be able to answer Narset, either trying to blink the Oath or just any other number of things. Opponent knows what we've got though, so it's the only hidden card. Yeah, so we're gonna Tail's End this, or attempt to. They could have a Mystical Dispute, negate, I guess, veto. Sweet. So we did draw a land as well, which is really nice, but 4 lands. Yeah, so Teferi, hopefully Teferi resolves. We could also just do nothing and just hold up triple counterspell. But we're not really putting any pressure onto our opponent. There was a pause there, so maybe our opponent's like planning on countering the Teferi. And if they counter the Teferi, we are a little bit screwed since we can't do anything else. So I'm kind of just happy with passing it back there. The problem is if we pass and then our opponent just passes back and we just keep going back and forward and our opponent's hitting land drops and we're not, then they're definitely gaining a substantial advantage. Really need to hit our land drops. Deck does not want to give it to us though. It's not going to make this easy. Could just play Nico, minus Nico, and make a shard. If our opponent has, we can counter any non-creature spell then, and if our opponent has a Yorion, then they get to blink the Oath, taking out one of our planeswalkers. I don't know if we want to let a Yorion resolve. But we can't really sit back and just not do anything. Okay, that resolved really quickly. Maybe our opponent just doesn't have a counter spell. We're going to pass the turn and hold up the veto, but we just really need to hit our land drops here. Stumbling quite a lot. Here's wishing we had more than one copy of Tail's End. Can only presume our opponent has a Yorion. I think Yorion's one of the worst cards our opponent could have. Okay, so opponent's just going to pass the turn. Going to sack this shard in the end step. Shields down. It's not too much our opponent could have to punish us. No, definitely we are only keeping lands on top at this point. Sweet, so that looks pretty good. So, yeah, I think I like just Teferi. Get to hold up veto. And then untap, get another veto. Yeah, we're definitely going to try and stop this. Just because we get to hold open the second veto. And our opponent doesn't know about this as well. Okay, so now we're okay for lands. I think we navigated this situation quite well. Nico's going to draw us a card every other turn. I think our opponent just made a really big mistake. It happens all the time. I don't know how it keeps happening. I mean, it even happens to me, like, on occasion. I'm sure I've done it while making a video at some point. Forgot the Narset situation. Yeah, and I think we're just going to stop this since we have the Absorb. Sweet. Now I think we're in a good position.
No time for a break.
Just going to let this Nico keep gaining us card advantage.
Now we've got the edge.
Shark Typhoon is great. Yeah, let's just pass the turn. Probably just going to make a big shark. Maybe cycle this, or maybe we just cycle this and then sack a shard. So Skyclave gets to take our Nico or Narset. Yeah, I think that's fine. Not too worried about that. We have the backup Nico. Yeah, that's fine. And when we inevitably ambush this Skyclave, so this is just giving our opponent a scry each turn at the moment. That's fine. Yeah, so we're going to ambush this Skyclave with our Shark, and then we'll get a 3-3 out of the deal. Which Nico might actually be more valuable as a 3-3 at the moment, just looking for ways to close the game. Yeah, we don't need lands at the moment. Struggled for long enough, now we're in an okay position. Now we're just going to cycle to our heart's content. Try and find something to do. Let's just tick up, draw some more cards.
Let's skip to the good part.
I think the game's rapidly coming to a close now. We could just cast the Shark Typhoon. That would close the game quite a lot faster. Yeah, let's just cast this actually. I don't think I'm too worried if our opponent wants to take out Narset here. Narset's done what it needs to do. And we have the Absorb, could make a 3-3 Shark. Could just cast a big Nico next turn, get a massive Shark. Yeah. Opponent could have taken out Narset and then cycled. Okay, they're not going to take out Narset.
I won't let you
So
win.
let's just make a 1-1, and then next turn we could always trade with a Skyclave if we wanted to. So let's scry before ticking up Teferi. Yeah, Shark Typhoon's great. Yeah, okay, now we're
I need to move quickly.
definitely going to close the game pretty fast. Just attack for 1. I don't know how our opponent gets out of this, like a mass destroy all non-land permanents. Yeah, opponent's just going to scoop it up there. I think too many turns with Teferi. I mean, we did stumble on our lands quite a bit, but we managed to get there in the end. So, did we see anything that would make us want to bring in these Ether Gusts? Searching Greatness and Incarnation? Like, not really. I'm not really worried about them. Skyclave was not something we saw in the first game. It doesn't look like our opponent's running Doom Foretold. They might be running Incarnation instead. They're just running sort of a toolbox game. I mean, this does shut down Incarnation. What is it? Creatures can't enter the battlefield from graveyards or libraries. I think we just run it back. I think what we've got going on is okay. Everything sort of worked there. We just need to make sure we hit our land drops. Okay, so another hand that requires just a few more lands to make work. I think we're going to keep this since we're on the draw. Probability is with 27 lands that we should find lands. Yeah, let's shock. cycle this cast out early. Can always play Irrigate Farmland next turn. Ooh. So creatures and enchantments can't be countered, and you get to make XX enchantment creatures. You turn lands into creatures. Nice. Unfortunately, the free toughness means that Nico's going to have a problem answering that, since we could just play Nico and kill it. But nope. Yeah, let's just play Temple and Scry. Yeah, we can bottom and Irrigate Farmland. We should find our 5th land. This does switch off our Absorb, which is a little bit annoying. Glad we kept in the Doom Scars, since it's going to be able to wipe out Destiny Spinner along with any enchantment creatures that they make. But yeah, not being able to counter their creatures and enchantments is definitely an issue. Had we have seen Destiny Spinner in the last game, might have brought in our 2-mana interaction. Let's play Narset here. Soak a little bit of damage, hopefully find something to do, since we haven't really got a turn 4 play apart from Nico at the moment. Yeah, I mean, that's okay. We haven't seen too many removal spells from our opponent. Got to imagine that they're in black, so they are running them. Don't have a free drop here. Ooh, nice.
I was not prepared for this.
So yeah, turn 4 play might just be play Starnheim. It's quite a nice blocker here. And then next turn we have Teferi. 4 mana for a 4/4 Angel. I mean, it's okay. It could be a lot worse. Our opponent's getting their value. I play Yorion here and do a load of blinking. Tis all good. I mean, they get an extra Yishan trigger, but apart from that, the Skyclave can't target our Angel. So this can make a 2/2 at the moment. Okay, Angel has Vigilance, so let's attack. We only get punished by, like, Settle the Wreckage. We're just playing out Teferi here. It's probably going to die, but I think it's okay. Opponent's going to have to send a lot at it.
Trust me, you'll thank me later. You know what?
Would really like to find one of our Doom Scars just to be able to wipe this up. The Destiny Spinner is a little bit awkward. Oh, Yarok. So it's going to double up them triggers. Opponent going to send everything to Teferi, just Yishan. I think if they just want to send Yishan, then we'll just allow that. Teferi on 1 is just as good as 5 here. I think that's fine.
As soon as I think of one.
So board wipe here would be fantastic. Nope, still one more chance.
Let's skip to the good part.
Nope, so let's go with Narset. I guess play around Mystical Dispute. I guess let's go to combat first. None of these have reach, do they? No. I mean, this Angel's done a little bit of damage to him. 8 damage now. Yeah, let's play around Mystical Dispute. I mean, Shark Typhoon might give us an extra activation of Teferi. We've already got card advantage sorted with Nico. So let's see what our opponent's got. Have they got a 6-drop? I like what our opponent's up to though. Just doubling up their triggers. I think I like saving both Planeswalkers here. We can't counter anything anyway, or we can't counter a creature and enchantment. Okay. Opponent's just deciding how they'd like to attack. There is a few things to take into consideration since I know we've got the Shark Typhoon. We could just activate Castle Ardenvale as well. But I do think we want to dig a little bit deeper. I mean, maybe it's right to just activate Castle Ardenvale here. But we definitely want to, because if we hit a board wipe next turn now with our Teferi, Narset or Shark Typhoon, then we're in a really good situation, I think. We'll be left with a 3-3. I think I'm happy just to dig here. It might be correct just to activate Castle Ardenvale. So yeah, we will trade for the Yashan. And then just champ block. Opponent's got a nice position here. They've got all of their mana untapped. We are completely tapped down. Though we couldn't counter many things anyway. Okay, so double scries. I don't know if our opponent has any 6-drops. Okay, let's I guess let's tick up with Teferi first. Maybe you should have played Temple of Enlightenment first.
We need to move quickly.
Nope. Really like to find Doomscar though.
Keep an open mind.
There's Doomscar. So we could play Doomscar. If our opponent has a counter spell, then we feel really bad. But we kind of set up for this turn. We could like foretell this, but then we're going to lose both of our Planeswalkers on the next turn. Let's just cast this. If our opponent has a negate, it doesn't work out too well for us. Okay, so opponent didn't have it, so it feels okay about where we're at. And then just gonna go to discard. So opponent gets to put a 3-drop into play if they'd like to, and then I guess a 4-drop. I guess In Search of Greatness is okay, like okay if your board gets wiped and all them CMCs go. It allows you to rebuild really quickly. But I guess at this point in the game, our opponent has so much mana available to them, like, does it really matter? I don't really know. This card's like okay. Like the scry is what makes it playable, I think. If you just had a 2-mana enchantment that had the text without the scry, I think it's completely unplayable, but I don't know. Maybe when they're playing like Incognation, the 4-drop enchantment, they can sack this and go search for a 3-drop, so they can go grab their Skyclave, which is, I guess, pretty good. I like our position, though. Now we answered that Destiny Spinner, we get to hold open Absorb. Yep, no reason to let this resolve. And just going to cycle Sensor here. Really want one of our yeah, more consistent counter spells.
You know what? I'm not done.
Yeah, just tap, land, and pass. And probably just cycle Shark Typhoon in the end step. Get to hold open our counter spells now. Could have cast the Shark Typhoon to maybe close the game a little bit quicker. I guess that way we still could have held open one of our counters. Yeah, we'll allow Omen. I think our opponent made the Narset mistake in game 1 as well. I think they made it with like a cycling land. Yeah, let's just go for a big cycle. Unfortunately, one off closing the game. But I think with double counterspell, we should be able to get there.
No time for a break.
I don't know what our opponent could have to get out of this. Yorion lists seem to be quite popular at the moment. Played against quite a few of them. I think it's still up for discussion whether Yorion as the companion makes sense, because I don't know if like making your deck more, adding more cards to make it inconsistent. I think our opponents should have done this on their upkeep if they're digging. I don't know if adding the extra cards into your deck is worth it, or you just run 4 Yorions in the main and just run a 60 card list and just have the consistency. But I guess when your opponent's like playing like a toolbox strategy, okay, so permanent has left the battlefield, so they get to put a CMC 2 or less, like Destiny Spinner. Does have haste, but like, I mean, there's just no reason to let this resolve, is there? Still got Sensor, Veto, like, it's fine. I mean, yeah, our opponent can't, yeah, okay, they know. Sweet. So, yeah, taking down Yorion with some green in there, which is always refreshing to see. I think definitely, if I was going to build a Yorion list at the moment, and I think I am going to, Binding of the Old Gods is definitely the avenue I want to take, along with the other 4-mana Saga that makes Angels and gives Angels double strike. I think it's difficult on the numbers that you put in, but yeah, Binding of the Old Gods looks super sweet. But yeah, let's move on to the next game. So, some more Azorius Control in Historic Best of 3, and we're going to try and counter spell some people out of the game. We're going to do that, I guess, with our Sensor, so let's keep this. I think this hand's reasonable enough. These two are essentially just like random cards. Going to cycle these early. We'll have this Sensor as something to do. Looks like it might be the mirror match. It is the mirror match. Our opponent's mulligan down. And they're on the play, which does make me feel a little bit good, but maybe not that much with this hand. Opponent going to use this opportunity to get down their Search for Azcanta? Nope. Okay, so yeah, just cycling these cast outs, I would imagine here. Opponent might try and opponent might try to slip a cheeky Narset in there. Stumbling on my words. That's how I just cycle. I don't think we want to cycle the Sensor, since it's the only counter spell we have available at the moment. Zorb is really nice. Maybe should have played like Plains last turn so we could have double cycle Cast Out. But I do think Cast Out's going to be okay. Yeah, that's fine. So Behold the Multiverse was something that I was running in the original Azorius list that we put up on the channel maybe like a month ago or something. 3 weeks ago. And it was okay. I just found that when you're playing Azorius, you didn't really need the Behold the Multiverse between Nico, Narset, and Teferi. I think ultimately you're either playing Behold or Nico or Narset. So maybe just cycling here to make a 2/2 Shark can put some pressure on our opponent's Planeswalkers. Yeah, I mean, could cycle now, but probably not going to. Just allow that to go. Could do the whole floaty business. Could have even cycled Sensor, I guess, maybe, off of that. But I still think Sensor's going to have some use this early on in the game. Maybe it was more for our opponent to sort out their mana. Having double blue now. Ooh. So our opponent is missing a land drop. I know how it feels, opponent. It's got to be even more painful when you Behold. Could cast a Nico for like X = 0 maybe. But it's just too easy for our opponent to like counter it, and then our Sensor wouldn't be able to counter their counter spell as well. And then like resolve a Teferi or something, and then we're just in a really bad situation. So we're probably just, where our opponent missing land drops, we're just in a position now where we're just going to make a land drop and pass, hold open our counter spells, push our opponent to make the first move, since if we're making land drops and they're not, then they definitely have to make that first move. So opponent's going to use one of their timeouts. The art looks so insane for this. Flying Sharks. So our opponent's about to skip, I guess. They're holding priority for something. I guess it's like a cycling card. Like Cast Out or Sensor. But our opponent just skips there. I mean, another Shark Typhoon is great. I mean, yeah. Yeah, just going to cycle and make a 3/3 now. Again, just going to force our opponent to do something. Okay, opponent's taking a while to pass priority. Maybe they have walked away, or any number of things. So it looks like our opponent just skipped through this. So we could resolve something if we want to, but I think our best bet is to just cycle the Shark Typhoon. I think if our opponent doesn't do anything again and it times out, then they're going to concede. I think it automatically concedes. So we shall see. Unfortunate, because I think we have a good matchup in the mirror match. I think after boarding we've got some okay sideboard cards for this. Maybe our opponent's like a little bit salty about not making land drops after casting a Behold the Multiverse. Okay, so our opponent just let their timer run out, which is unfortunate. I don't like to put it down to salt, because it's likely that our opponent just like had somewhere to be or something to do maybe. But we miss land drops on the channel quite often, and it happens from time to time. I think you should still play out your games. You never know what's going to happen. And I definitely don't think our opponent was out of it there. They had like more than enough cards, and we don't even know if they drew land for turn. They assume they just walked away. But yeah, let's assume our opponent wasn't salty and just move on to the next game. Okay, so we are back in Historic Best of 3 with some more Azorius. And what do we think of this hand? This hand has more than enough lands. We've been struggling a bit today, so maybe that's just a reason to keep in itself. Have some early interaction if our opponent's a creature list. If our opponent's like a control sort of list, like late game, I guess, then We've got all of our land drops and we can make that work. And we could always just foretell this Stormhelm Unleashed early. So I think this is a hand we have to keep. But maybe if this was game 2, we'd look at this differently since we'd know what our opponent's on. Opponent's going to take a mulligan. Hope our opponent finds a pretty good 6 so we can have a fair game. So opponent's settled on their 6. Starting in irrigate farmland. Okay, so stomping ground. So maybe our opponent's on Gruul. Could be Gruul. Could be like a sacrifice list. Just gonna put this on Heim Unleashed away. I keep pronouncing it Starnhelm. Yeah, definitely Starnheim though. Yeah, maybe we're doing this on turn 5. Make 2/4/4 angels a little bit more impactful. Got some stuff we can do in the meantime. Could have also been right to play like Hallowed Fountain turn 1 and then cycled this irrigated farmland. Okay, so Gruul confirmed. So I guess we just take our 4 and hold up, absorb this turn. Or we could let a free drop resolve, I guess, and maybe double Baffling End something. Then I guess like turn 4 we leave ourselves open to a like a questing beast of sorts. Opponent might just be satisfied with the 4. Yeah. I think we just want to stop this. I think Gruul is one of their matchups where you need to just do. We made our decision. We were holding up the counterspell. So this is quite a nice turn. Get to put the Doomscar away in case our opponent resolves something now. Just take the Brawl up. Next turn we could shock and make 2/4/4 angels. Let's see. But yeah, I think Gruul is one of their matchups where once you've made your decision, you've got to stick with it. If we'd have let that resolve, then we're in a position where I guess top deck and the Doomscar is a little bit different, but opponent gets to smack us an extra time. Yeah, I don't know. Just Office is a good one. Yeah, I like using this opportunity just to get 2/4/4 angels down. I would imagine Gruul doesn't have the easiest time answering this. And outside of an Embercleave, I can't imagine our opponent having much to attack through the 4/4 angels. Happy to trade this off for like a questing beast. Okay, so yeah, let's just okay, opponent's just gonna scoop it up. 2/4/4 angels on turn 5. I guess is enough. So we actually came prepared for Gruul. So let's make some cuts and see where we stand. So authorities were in purely for Gruul. Maybe a little bit for Cat and combo and things like that in the Jund sacrifice list, but mainly Gruul. Stop them hasters, Baffling Them for some more early interaction, Ether Gust as well, and Settle the Wreckage is something I wasn't sure. This is just in for some different matchups. Never know when you're going to need this. Definitely want to keep in these Doomscars. I think this is a matchup probably where we don't need the card advantage of Nico. We've got enough with Teferi and Narset. What else are we going to cut? Maybe just because we brought in the extra Baffling Ends, we can cut some cast outs. And maybe just going down 2 cast outs is okay. I like the passive life gain off of Absorb. Catch us up a little bit. And Ether Gust is still good. Yeah, I think I still like this. I'm really interested to see how these authorities are going to play out. So let's jump into game 2. So opponent's taking a mulligan. This hand is a little bit awkward since our lands are all going to enter tapped. But I guess we get to play tap land, Glacial Fortress, then we get to cycle, maybe hit like another like irrigated farmland or hallowed fountain. I think the Baffling End is what makes it playable. Would really like to hit like hallowed fountain or irrigated farmland just so all of our lands enter untapped. I think it's going to be really difficult to beat Gruul if all of our lands enter tapped. So opponent's just going to be too far ahead of us. But yeah, last game, pretty exciting, just being able to win it with 2 4/4s. Okay, especially when our opponent's off to the races with a Llanowar Elves. Yeah, opponent's off to fast start. We definitely cannot be stumbling on mana, but yeah, list is gonna make us stumble on some mana, so let's go. Nope. Yep, let's have a look. If our opponent has an Ember Cleave soon, then yeah, it's gonna be done pretty quick. If we see like a Questing Beast here or another relevant 4-drop, then yeah, we're also in quite a bit of trouble. Yeah, Collected Company is a good one. Yeah, opponent's not messing around. Yeah, so next time we're taking 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and we can stop one of them with an Aether Gust. Yeah, I mean, let's just hold up Aether Gust and see what happens. I guess our opponent could just put the Ember Cleave on the Gruul Spellbreaker and then we can't stop it anyway. Problem is, if we stop this, we're just dead on board. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, well, 3, 6, 10, 11, yeah. So we have to stop something on board. And if we target the Uncrop Crusher, it has haste, Llanowar Elves. I mean, yeah. Let's scoop it up and go to the next game. I've probably had a really good start though. They went Llanowar Elves into Gruul Spellbreaker into Collected Company, hitting 2 pretty good ones. Maybe we just want Settle the Wreckage as well. I feel like we could want that. I think Cast Out's just too expensive. So we are on the play this time, and yeah, this hand looks really good. Having the turn 3 Doomscar can only be good. And Narset and Teferi just to provide some light card advantage. Okay, you're going to see our Llanowar Elves. Pelt Collector. So probably not going to answer this Pelt Collector with the Baffling End. Our opponent could very well predict that the Doomscar is in Foretell here. But maybe the threat bit will just be enough. So we do not have double white to cast Doomscar. So maybe that's a reason to want to just dig here. In which case, do we want to cycle Shark Typhoon or cycle Cast Out? I think I like Shark Typhoon. Our opponent's probably going to play a creature beforehand, yeah. Do we still want to play the Shark Typhoon now? Or do we want to save it? We're still only going to see 1 card. We get to soak 2 damage by using Shark Typhoon, which might just be better. However, if we hit like a Censor, I guess if we hit Censor, then we should have probably done that beforehand. Yeah. We'll cycle Shark Typhoon and save ourselves 2 damage, but if we hit Censor, then we get like really punished. Another Shark Typhoon. Yeah, need to hit land drops. We cannot stumble here. No land drops for us. Yeah, let's just Baffling End. Yeah, need to hit land drops there. I think it was really essential that we hit double white. Since not hitting double white, Doomscarring here would have been really good. We would have also got to hopefully cycle the Cast Out as well. Just an Ember Cleave. Yep. Yeah, this is yeah. It's going to be like one of them downward spirals here since we didn't hit the land on time. Yeah, we're just dead. Our opponent can just turn and equip. Let's just see if we would have hit another white source off the top, because it's normally only 1 draw away. I mean, we're not just dead now? Didn't really consider Aether Gust as an out, but yeah, our opponent might just attack here. We get 1 more chance at it. It was also probably correct to cycle the Shark Typhoon for 0, not using our white in case we hit a white source off the top last turn. But yeah, let's Ether Gust this Pelt Collector. These can only be activated at sorcery speed. Oh, sweet. Opponent has it. Yeah, nice. Yeah, so opponent has it anyway. Double Ember Cleave. Yeah, the stumble on the Doomscar was what got us there. But yeah, losing against Gruul. We didn't get to see Authority in play, which is unfortunate. So hopefully we play against Gruul again. What do we think of this hand? So this is one of them hands where we've been having a lot of problems today with our mana. Struggling to hit it, struggling to hit our colours. Even though we're running 27 lands in 2 colours. And this is one of them things where your deck's going to say, oh, you're struggling on lands? We're going to give you 6 lands, and then you're only going to draw lands off the top. But I think the fact we can cycle Irrigated Farmland and Sensor is probably going to keep this. But yeah, hopefully this is not one of them games where you just draw non-lands. Where you just draw lands even. Hopefully we get something good off the top. Opponent's got them Nico Sleeves. Snow-covered forest. Okay, Shard Typhoon's a good one. Okay, so maybe against some Gruul here. Yeah, some Gruul. I'm just going to censor this, not let our opponent get on board. Just want to survive as late as possible. Yeah, Absorb's a really good one. So far drawing pretty well. Zertar Goblin. So we can trade with the Zertar Goblin next turn if we want to. With the Shark Typhoon, but then again, our opponent could have like... And then we have to... I guess we're just not using Absorb this turn, and we're not using Absorb next turn, so probably just going to counter this. Nico, you say? Yeah, let's just Shark Typhoon here. Hopefully we get to trade with another creature, but our opponent probably has like Gruul Spellbreaker here. The opponent's going to curve out properly. Yep. So now I think we are saving it. Yeah, I don't really want to just soak up 2 damage there, since the Gruul Spellbreaker has hate and trample. So our opponent can't have Ember Cleave next turn, so probably just going to cycle the Shark Typhoon, try and trade with this Gruul Spellbreaker, and then maybe we set ourselves in a position where we can Teferi next turn. Just Nico, maybe make a few shards. Okay, so we're not looking at an Ember Cleave here, opponent's 1 mana off. But we'll make a free fruit. Also, 1 off a Boat Crusher down. Ooh. Oh, I only hit the Pelt Collector. That's pretty nice. Yeah, I think I like just Teferiing +1. If opponent has a Gruul Spellbreaker, then we lose our Teferi, but like, sure. Could also just, if we're planning on just losing a Planeswalker, then we could just play Nico. But Nico doesn't provide us any card advantage now. And I guess the Pelt Collector is going to grow anyway, so we won't be able to shoot anything with Nico next turn. Could play Narset, and then Narset would allow us to maybe play something else this turn as well. Could also just play Narset, play Nico, X = 0, make a shard, and then our opponent probably can't answer both Planeswalkers. I guess if they have a haster, then they will. Let's play Narset and dig. We're going to lose our Planeswalker either way. Since I just assumed that our opponent does have a an answer. Yeah, that's going to be quite good. Opponent has it. Not something I've seen in the Gruul lists yet. Yeah, just let this go. I mean, not much we can do. I think we're just going to Teferi next turn and then get to hold up cast out. We'll see. Opponent knows about the cast out. It could just be better to actually foretell here. Is it better to foretell? If we foretell, then next turn we get to cast it for... we get to make 1, 2, 3 angels. 3 4/4s is pretty good. It's not really that great against an Embercleave. Interesting. Opponent's going to have to send everything at Teferi to kill it. Yeah, let's just pass and not foretell. We get the option. Our opponent knows that the cast out, so they could send everything at Teferi, in which case we could just allow that to go through. Could attempt to censor something and maybe just cycle the cast out. This to me looks like an Embercleave. So we can protect our Teferi and then we'll be taking 8, 9, 10. And we get a Teferi, which means we can tuck the creature. We can tuck the Embercleave. I guess Teferi's like not actually dying from this position, so we could just allow this to happen. It's bad if our opponent has a Bone Crusher Giant, which is really possible. Yeah, I think I like just allowing this, actually. It means our opponent's not going to Embercleave us this turn. Okay, so our opponent's happy to let this just go. Yeah, let's just allow that to go through.
Don't make another move.
Opponent could Bone Crusher Giant Teferi here. Yep. Could cycle for an Absorb. Is this something we're interested in doing? If our opponent goes land into cast the Bone Crusher, I think we'll just allow this.
This is hardly my worst defeat.
I'd rather dig, I think, for a board wipe. Yeah, let's just keep going. Ask and thou shalt receive. Let's just wipe away the board. Don't have a response. Nope. And then yeah, we'll set up to Starnheim next turn. And we're not going to shock just to cycle the cast out. I don't want to fall to 10. So if we hit a land next turn, then we can make 4 angels. So 3 angels it is. And cycle a cast out. I mean, 3 angels is also pretty good. So if our opponent attacks with a Bone Crusher Giant, they're probably just signaling that they have an Embercleave. In which case we have to block. So, yeah. Okay, opponent doesn't have an Embercleave then. Okay, I don't know how I feel about our position. Like, okay, I guess, since we have double cast out next turn. And these angels have vigilance. So our opponent is just dead next turn. So probably no reason to do anything here, just hold up the cast outs. I don't really want to, like, lose next turn. I really want to win next turn, and we need 2 angels to do so. If we block the Bone Crush Giant as well, our opponent could have, like, a stomp to finish off one of the angels. So probably just go like that, and then we'll just cast out one of the Bone Crusher Giants. Yep, if our opponent goes for the Ember Cleave, then we'll wait for which one they attach it to. And then we'll just take that Bone Crusher Giant away. And this is like one of the only real ways to play around an Ember Cleave. And we'll just take 4. And then kill our opponent on the way back. Sweet. So, we have our plan against Gruul, since we've done it relatively recently. I think it was the last game we played. So, let's sideboard the same, and let's hope that we hit our land drops this time to potentially pull it around. How did we board last time? We need to cut some bits. Yeah, maybe this is okay. Let's bring in the Settle and trade it out for a cast out. Yeah. I'm even more tempted to keep in the cast out, like cut a Teferi instead. Can't cut too many cards that give us card advantage though, so maybe we'll just cut the cast out. I mean, this is pretty much one of them hands that you dream of. We get to cast Authority turn 1, Foretell turn 2, and then cast the Doomscar, and then we get to follow up with Teferi. Yeah, you can't really ask for much better of a hand. This will also give us a really good opportunity to see how Authority of the Consoles performs against Gruul, since Gruul definitely one of the better decks in the historic meta at the moment. I guess the only way you could ask for a better hand if this wasn't a shock land. This was just an island. Yeah, we are just casting Doomscar next turn, so no reason to shock here. The reason to shock would have been if you want to play Absorb on the next turn, but pretty much just going to be Doomscarring here. Our opponent wouldn't be playing the Llanowar Elves unless they planned on ramping. Okay, maybe not. They are just going to play Klothys here. In which case, maybe we just pass the turn. Just... yeah, I mean, Klothys isn't going to do anything. There's no cards in the graveyard. Could just play Hallowed Fountain and Psyche with Irrigated Farmland, but we are going to need double blue at some point, and there's no way that I want to be caught out not having double blue. Yeah, it was pretty certain we'd cast a Doomscar, but our opponent has 2 power in play, so... and any hasters they have, Authority stops, so... Authority just feels like it's really good here. I guess the worst thing is if they put 2 pips into play. There's 1 pip. So now I'm definitely happy to Doomscar. Could settle the wreckage, but don't want to give our opponent that much mana. Yeah, take all of them away so Klothys is no closer to being able to become a creature. Yeah, and I guess next turn we get to play Teferi if we want to. We'll see how Settle performs as well. Really bad against, my opponent hasn't had one, but Gruul Spellbreakers. So I think I like just preserving our life total here and just cycling a Sharp Typhoon and trading with this Bone Crusher Giant. Klothys is slowly eating away at our life total. Definitely a really strong card in this matchup. It's probably a reason that we want to keep in our cast outs. Since we don't really have a solid answer to Klothys, it's more something that we just have to kill our opponent before Klothys kills us. We know our opponent can't Ember Cleave here as well. And like before, I think in one of our last matches, our opponent can't Bone Crusher Giant this shark. So this will trade. Sweet, and since we know that any haster is going to be negated by Authority of the Consoles, we're kind of happy to just play the Teferi here. I mean, even if Authority of the Consoles isn't something that you necessarily want to play for... okay, well this is a way to get around Authority. Though Burning Tree is fine. Even Authority of the Consoles, even if it isn't something that you necessarily want, just as a general card, the effect that it has by... just sort of making you not have to think about the keyword of haste in these matchups is sort of worth its own weight in gold. Let's just get to hold up our Absorb here. Absorb was a really nice pickup. Yeah, Collector Company was good. Looks like our opponent's just going to try and close the game. Doesn't really want to worry about this Teferi. I think we're going to allow our opponent to have one more turn of Clothers, and then we'll probably tuck it. Yeah, I mean, okay. Opponent's just going to scoop it up. So we got to see how Authority performed there, and yeah, we also got a rematch against Gruul when we drew lands, and we had a near perfect hand, I think. We had like 4 lands, Authority, Doomscar, and Teferi, which was just like excellent cards. It's everything you want, and all of our colours. To be fair, like our opponent had an okay start as well. Like they got the Pelt Collector early, but I think Authority just did so much work there. Gained us quite a bit of life as the game went on, and you can stop any hasters. Our opponent had no hasters, but you can see how it would be really good. So yeah, let's Gruul did pretty well. Let's move on to the next game. Okay, so we are back in Historic playing against Lewis of the Dream Den, and like the last 10 Lewis matchups I've played against has been Pyromancer, so I'm going to assume that this is a Pyromancer matchup, and we're going to keep this. This is okay in the face of Pyromancer. If they have a Four.Vs off the bat, then oh, okay, so lesson number 1, never assume. Are we going to want to cycle this irrigated farmland? Maybe, but we're going to play it out. We'll see. If our opponent goes for SRAM or Core Spirit Dancer next turn, okay, so Rogues, I guess. Yeah, for some reason I even blanked. Rogues is a Lewis list, definitely. What do we think about our odds against Rogues? Yeah, I think Rogues, we've got an okay matchup. I can't stand dying to mill for people who watch the channel very often. But yeah, like, I don't know. We'll see how we get on. Crawling Barons is a good one. Okay, so each other rogue you control enters with a +1/+1 counter, and whenever a creature you control deal with a +1/+1 counter on it, deals combat damage to the player, that player discards a card. So nasty little card there. Gonna cycle this cast out, it's just gonna be far too slow. So if our opponent's gonna flash in any rogues, it's gonna be rather annoying. Kind of like just playing Nico maybe here. Tip down, our opponent can't kill Nico this turn unless they have like Spectral Sailor. I think Spectral Sailor is a pirate, isn't it? It's not a rogue. So get down Nico when we can. Make a shard to get our value, and we could shoot this on our next turn if we want to. Which I'm actually somewhat incentivized to do. Rogues is a sweet list though. I very rarely see the Blackguard in Rogues. Normally they're more on the mill plan, not on the make your opponent discard their hand plan. Like, kind of more tempo-y. Like, you're more often than not going to die with cards in your hand. Yeah, like Thieves Guild Enforcer. So yeah. Oof, double Thieves Guild Enforcer. No good. Really like a Doomscar. Yeah, I think we're just going to not waste any time. We're just going to shoot this. And hopefully trade. I guess we're not going to trade. Could play a Starnheim, but can we take an 8 here? Could foretell this and then plan to make 2 4/4s next turn to trade off with both of their Thief Guild Enforcers. If we make 1 4/4 and our opponent kills the 4/4, we're just in a really bad situation. This way we get to sack a shard as well as foretell this. So, and then like I said, next time we get to make 2 of them. We also get to hold up Censor for what it's worth. The Crawling Barons is somewhat scary as well. Opponent's just gonna smack us. Okay, Wind Robber. We do have over 8 cards in our graveyard. I guess we definitely will since we're milling now. Haven't played against rogues for a while. It is quite refreshing sometimes. So yeah, I think I like the plan of just making some 4/4s here. We'll trade him off for the Thieves Guild Enforcers, though I'm sure our opponent's just going to play Lurrus and get back the Blackguard. Oh, actually, I just like that better. Do we like that better? Or do we like Starnheim, trade off, and then let our opponent play Lurrus, get back a Thieves Guild Enforcer or a Wind Robber, and then we get to Doomscar? So opponents had a Four.Vs, so every turn we keep this in our hand, we do risk our opponent taking it. The problem is, if we Doomscar now, our opponent gets to play Lurrus and then like and they get to sack the Wind Robber to draw an extra card. I think we have to Starnheim. Otherwise, Lurrus just is going to get out of control. We don't have an answer to Lurrus at the moment. Just got to hope that our opponent doesn't have a Four.Vs on their next turn. Really got to hope they don't have a hand hate spell. But yeah, the plan is to trade these off for these Thieves Guild Enforcers. Guess we all block one, block another. Yeah, I'm more than happy to make that. Get our 2-for-1 there. And then hopefully our opponent's plays to play Lurrus, play something at the graveyard. Nope. Okay, so our opponent's plan could be to flash in the 2-drop in our end step. I think we're going to hold open Absorb and Censor here and Shark Typhoon. Well, actually, I think we're going to put this in Foretell so we're no longer worried about our opponent Four.Vsing it. It sort of signals what we're doing, but if our opponent goes for the flash out here, okay, they're going for the Thieves Guild Enforcer. This is going to make us discard a card as well if this hits. And it's going to be entering as a 4/3. Yeah, let's stop this. If it didn't enter with the counter, then we'd probably just go for the Shark Typhoon. Or if we didn't have like 8 cards in our graveyard. Yeah, there's different ways we could play this. I don't know if the line we've taken now is necessarily correct, but I don't really want to use this Doomscar until our opponent gets the Lurrus down. And it looks like we're not going to die to mill. I say that, but our opponent could have like Ruin Crab. This Crawling Barrens is going to be a little bit difficult to answer, so we're going to have to make sure that we find our Field of Ruin at some point. Mill a little bit more. So yeah, now's definitely the turn that we're just going to cast the Doomscar, so let's try and find something else. Our opponent could have the pay 4 unless... I guess it's 2 mana actually, they couldn't have had that. So this is just fine. So I guess the card we're most scared of now is Into the Story. Yeah, opponent can take a Shark Typhoon. Are we casting the Shark Typhoon or are we cycling it? Opponent gets to draw an extra card. They're also going to get to draw an extra card here. Oh no, they drew another one. Nice. Do we want to cycle the Shark Typhoon? I feel like casting it's going to close the game faster, but the advice I normally get provided and the advice I give to other people is always cycle Shark Typhoon since you get the free card. So probably just going to cycle here. Close the game a lot faster if we played it, but there's no guarantee we're going to top deck non-lands here. So opponent's just going to resolve the Soaring Four.Vs. So do we just cast Shark Typhoon now? Won't be able to cast Narset. Could just play Narset. Yeah, I think just play Narset actually. Dig for something else. And we could always cycle the Shark Typhoon and make a 3-3.
Just the trick for this.
Or just grab a Teferi. Teferi's good as well. And now, I think, if we can untap with our Planeswalkers intact, then we're in a good position. We'll just sit back. Hopefully our opponent doesn't activate Castle Ardent and Castle Lockthwain here. So our opponent's plan might just be to, it could be to escape Cling to Dust, or could be to activate, well it's going to be, yeah. Okay, so mill us for 2. Are we throwing our Shark in the way? Yeah, I'd like an extra activation of our Narset, please. So yeah, I don't know, our opponent's plan is probably just draw an extra card in our turn.
Keep up the pace.
Always activate your Teferi first.
Meditate and prepare.
Yeah, I like Absorb. Opponent doesn't have a counter spell. We're just going to cast Shark Typhoon. It's going to give us plenty of blockers for this this Crawling Barrens. Okay, so opponent's going to draw. I don't know what's correct, whether you opt to do that or just Cling to Dust. I don't know what our opponent has. Don't know if they care about taking the 1 damage. But yeah, we got some answers to our opponent's got. Strange our opponent isn't getting in there with the Crawling Barrens. I mean, 19 cards left in the library, we could deck.
I won't let you win.
Want to keep drawing? I guess if we're not gonna, we need to keep drawing some. Cause we need to draw something to do. I guess Nico's one of our best draws since we could make a massive Shark.
Hurry.
Okay, opponent's just gonna scoop it up. I think from the position we're in, we're probably just gonna cast that Teferi to draw an extra card. So against Rogues, what do we think? Want some interaction, maybe with Apostle. Apostle's got protection from black. We can exile some cards from a graveyard. We can stop their... I mean, if we want to, we can keep our own graveyard empty. Doesn't really feel worth it, though. Haven't really got much in this matchup. Not something I came into this planning. Maybe we just want the Baffling End. Grafdigger's Cage. It stops their Luris. We definitely know that they have Luris since it's their companion. And this one cut cast out. Maybe we want Veto. I don't know how relevant the Apostle's going to be in this matchup. But it could be really relevant. Protection from black is good. But our opponent definitely has just like the Wind Robber that can just trade for this. I don't know, it stops their Thieves Guild Enforcers. Let's give it a shot. We don't know how it's going to work out. And let's cut like a Nico and a Cast Out and see how this runs. Apostle, I brought this in not for this matchup, more for the sacrifice lists, the Rakdos and Jund ones, but we'll see how it performs. Okay, it looks like we shall not see how it performs since our opponent decided to scoop it up, didn't want to play against Azorius Control. Howdy guys, cheers for making it to the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed the list and enjoyed some more, for the 3rd time on the channel, some Azorius Control. Obviously take all of this with a little pinch of salt since we are so low in the ranking at the moment. We're just going through gold, about to hit Platinum, then we're going to move on to Diamond. I'm confident we can hit Diamond, and then fingers crossed we might hit Mythic. I think there's like 21 days left on the season, so there's a really good chance of getting to there if we pull our finger out and move a little bit faster. So a little bit of the summary as to how we think the list did overall, and how did the new additions fare in the current meta. So first of all, one of the big things coming into here, the research we did, was we thought Sacrifice was going to be something really big. Obviously, when climbing the ladder, especially in the position we are in at the moment, you're not necessarily going to face against the top tier meta decks, so that's always something that we'll have to take into consideration. But we didn't face any Jund Sacrifice, we didn't face any Rakdos Sacrifice, which is really unfortunate because we didn't get to see how Apostle did overall and our main deck Grafdigger's Cage. So we'll have to see how that does in future videos, and we'll probably incorporate them as much as possible into future control lists, because I think it's really essential that we get a good feel as to how these cards are performing overall. I think Grafdigger's Cage is going to be really good, and I'm really skeptical of Apostle, so we will see how that gets on as well. Authority of the Consoles as well, something that we added in. We went up to 2 to see specifically how it would do against Gruul, and we actually faced against Gruul twice. The first Gruul game we got absolutely smashed. That was actually really funny. Game 2, just opponent had the nut draw, and game 3 we just could not hit our double white, so not necessarily the result of Authority of the Consoles, but maybe if we had Authority in game 2 we would have slowed our opponent down enough to potentially turn that corner, and maybe in game 3 as well. Who knows? But the second Gruul matchup, we were the ones doing the smashing, and Authority of the Consoles actually came through after sideboarding. While it didn't do too much against exactly what our opponent had in that game, you could definitely see how that would have been effective. Essentially just removing the keyword of haste, I think, is really good, and I think Authority is worth its weight in gold there. And like I said, if you fall to like 7, 5, 3 life, somewhere really, really low, you're sort of falling into that danger mark of where you're going to get Bone Crusher Gianted or a 1 haste threat out the game. You essentially just cut that haste, you're pretty much safe, and it's a way to buffer your life total. Opponent's creature enters tapped, you gain life, and then you remove it in your turn, and then you've essentially just gained that life. Which is really, really good, and I think Authority might have some place in this list. It's something I definitely want to test further as time goes on, and it's not just good against Gruul in the same way, it's good against all them sort of aggro lists, mono red as well, as long as they're not on the mono red burn plan, as long as they've got some sort of creature package. Mono red's going to want to have hasters, and it's going to want to lower your life total obviously as fast as possible, so Authority of the Consoles is doing everything we want in there. So I think some future testing on that to see how that gets on. And although we didn't face any sacrifice overall, which I'm really, really surprised with, I think the cage in the main does feel like a necessity. We saw the One.Of there. It didn't really pop up. I think it maybe popped up in one of our games. I can't remember it. It wasn't relevant, which is unfortunate. It is a dead card when you top deck then, and we don't really have any ways to discard cage. So it is just a complete dead draw when we draw it. But I think the relevance of having it in the matchups where we're going to want it is going to outweigh the times we don't want to draw it, and we can always board it out as we did in a lot of games when we don't need it for game 2. So I do think it's worth having it in the main, but that's going to be something that's like a meta call and something that we sort of evaluate as the week goes on. Definitely not something that's going to be like set in stone all the time, as in like something like Teferi. Like if you're playing Azorius Control, you're probably playing some number of Teferis. Cage is not necessarily something that it's going to be the same there. So Starnheim Unleashed is... I don't know what to say about it. Like, I think it's excellent, but there are definitely some matchups where you're not going to want this. The thing is it acts as an excellent win condition, but it also just acts as like a really good card if you're casting it. I would say probably for 5 mana or more. 5 mana to make 2 4/4 Vigilance Flyers is actually really good. I think in both the matchups we cast Starnheim Unleashed for 5 mana against Gruul. Our opponent conceded. It's not the easiest thing to get past, especially when you're making 2 of them. They're quite often going to trade with what your opponent's got going on, and if they're not trading, then they're definitely causing aggro for them. And I know that you can't block an Embercleave. Embercleave essentially makes you unable to block what your opponent's doing. But I think 2 4/4 Angels sometimes at least allows you to, providing it hasn't got Death Touch, it's not a questing beast, it provides you to at least trade with the creature a lot of the time. If a Bone Crusher Giant is coming in against two Sarah Angels, then we're at least going to get to trade our 2 cards for their, well, there are 2 creatures that came from 1 card for their 1 card. So we're not down on card advantage. And obviously if we're casting it for 7 or more mana, it goes without saying it's just going to be excellent. So I don't know about Starnheim Unleashed, but I still think I'm going to keep that 1 copy. I might go up to 2, depending on sort of how things go on. Good things to note though, we did play against Doom Foretold, and I think it was Doom Foretold. We played against a sort of enchantment list, but if we are playing against Doom Foretold, which is somewhat popular, you can't sacrifice them angels to Doom Foretold. That could be a positive, could be a negative. It means you can play that hot potato game, and you can still do your discard. They can draw their card off the Doom Foretold, but you don't have to lose your angels, so it forces your opponent to remove them in some other way. Like I said, sometimes that's going to be good because you're going to be able to put a creature out there while not needing to sacrifice anything to the Doom Foretold, and sometimes it's going to be bad because you are going to want to sacrifice that. So just something to bear in mind. And it also forces players to keep in some of their removal after boarding. Some players are going to keep it in anyway because of Shark Typhoon, and we do have some creatures in the list in that form. And Castle Ardenvale, maybe they want to keep in a board wipe. I doubt it, but you never know what goes through some people's heads. Starnheim in the same way makes our opponent think twice before taking out their board wipes. If your opponent is not running blue and there's no chance of counter spells, if you cast a big Starnheim and your opponent has removed their board wipes, they're not coming back from that, and that is normally 2 combat steps, and your opponent is just dead. And it's not just 2 combat steps they're dead, they also cannot attack into your angels at the same time, and at the very least it's going to buy you a lot of time. So yeah, I have a lot of love at the moment for Starnheim. Hopefully, well, not hopefully, but maybe this sort of dissolves as the weeks go on, but at the moment I am super hot on this card, so we will see. And yeah, like I said, finally just going on reiterating the Apostle as well. I'm really not sure how I feel about Apostle. It's going to be something that we didn't get to try at all. We brought it in against the Rogues list, but opponent conceded before we even got to see it in play. And it's really in there for them sacrifice lists. So we'll have to test it against them, and maybe in the list that we're about to show in a minute that we're playing next time, we will try the Apostle again and see how it gets on, because I really do want to test that. So like I said at the beginning of the video, we are trying something different this time. I'm showing you next video's control list now for 2 reasons. One, so you get super excited about the next control list we're playing, but also so you guys can see the list in advance so you can potentially make some changes. It's really good when I get some interaction with you guys and get to see and sort of hear what you guys think would be better, maybe changes we can make in the sideboard, maybe things I haven't necessarily considered. I'm kind of just rambling. Let's put the list up now. So this is Jeskai Control. I know, I love Jeskai Control, and I know what you're thinking. I can probably read your mind here. Radio Magic, this is Azorius Control, but you're playing Chandra and Bone Crusher Giant, and I'm going to tell you, you are exactly spot on. I do think Azorius is probably the stronger of the lists, and I don't think you need the inconsistency of adding red into the list. But if we are going to add red, we are going to play the best of the best red cards, and maybe test a few out. And I think the best that red has to offer at the moment is Chandra, Torture Defiance, and Bone Crusher Giant. So we are playing an almost identical list to the Azorius list, but we're playing some red. I'd like to say splashing, but Chandra's not really splashing with a double red. I'm not going to go over a deck tech. We'll save that for next time. But here's the sideboard as well. It does resemble the Azorius list in the same way. We're still playing them Authorities and them Apostles just to give them a try. But we're going to try and break some board stalls with Chandra's Awakened Inferno in the Mirror matchup, or just Control in general, and a Braid for our early interaction instead of our Baffling End, and also a way to hate on artifacts. So this is going to be interesting to see how this gets on. But like I said, I'm not going to talk too much about Jeskai. Leave your comments down below as to changes you think would be good in the Jeskai list, maybe considerations I haven't made and things you think could be improved, because Jeskai Control is the next video we're going to be making. So really excited about that. I love playing Chandra. You can probably hear the excitement in my voice. So yeah, enough talking about Jeskai. We will save that because this video has gone on long enough. But like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Always leave your comments down below. I love reading what you guys have to say and your opinion on the way I played and the cards I have chosen to include, because all of the lists we play on the channel are by no means like defined. They're no means the right way to do it. This is just my interpretation on Control. And obviously, like I said at the beginning as well, I am not an expert Control player. I do the best I can, and sometimes I win, sometimes I lose. It happens, but as long as you have fun while you're playing, it doesn't matter. But like I said, these are the control lists. I'm just rambling. I need to really make these endings a little bit more concise and stop ad-libbing as much. But yeah, until next time, stay safe.